Hello everybody and welcome to this video. Today I am going to talk about why so many people seem to quit trading at the moment and what I think the underlying reasons are for that. And I've actually made myself some notes so I don't forget anything because this is very important to me, as I feel like this is very frequent at the moment that people quit. If you're currently on the journey, if you're starting out, or if you're a couple weeks in, then I think this video is very important for you, that you can learn a lot about the outcome, how it will feel like, how it's going to be for the next months and probably very likely the next years as well. So let's start with the first point that I think is the most difficult to start off with, especially if you're new and you don't have a lot of knowledge in the space. At the moment, I see that it's very difficult to dissect of what knowledge is actually applicable, what's important, and what's actually true. Today we have an information overload. So on YouTube and every social media platform, you don't really know what to consume. And it's very difficult to actually keep your focus, to keep your attention span, because you see so many different shorts randomly coming in, and then you just lose track of what you're currently searching for if you're not 100% focused all the time. Happens to everyone, happens to me as well. Determining what's actually good info is the biggest problem. So I would advise you, if you want to take the advice, to only take knowledge from the people you really think are good, so you should source them before. And if you do, the knowledge has to be applicable to your current state. If the knowledge is too far out, if it's too advanced and you're currently at your beginner stage, it doesn't really make sense to start learning that. It's like, you just started to learn about some candlesticks, about support and resistance, maybe a trend line, something like that. And now you're just starting to watch a video about order flow or about market profile and TPO charts when you just started out. Maybe you don't even know those terms yet, which is fine. If you're currently starting out, it doesn't really make sense to go for knowledge that is too far away at the moment, because then the time is pretty much wasted. You cannot apply it. You don't have the infrastructure, the software, etc. to actually use this knowledge. Let's be real, like the more advanced stuff is gonna take a longer time to learn and much more screen time. Okay, so more screen time, more setups, and actually applying that to really, to deeply understand the knowledge, which is way easier for trend lines because it's very visual. Something like market profile or TPO is not so easy to understand quickly. This is already aligned with my second point, which is you have no clear path. And you got to be very well aware that if you want to continue doing this or get on this journey, I hope many of you want to start out and you find this video before. Because for me, it was a big problem that my path was not clear, because I never really had the certainty of anything working in my favor. And I know that everyone around me has a clear path, goes to college, and then you have job X, then you have job Y, and then Z. And everything is just going in line with an order, and you don't have that order. You don't know what's coming for you. I always like to illustrate this with, if you already know what path is in front of you, how can it be yours? Because it's already walked through, kind of. And I think this holds true, definitely. But, for people who are self-employed, it's always unclear. And you got to be friends with the uncertainty. If you're not friends with the uncertainty, then I think it's going to be very hard. And yeah, you got to be ready to endure that and actually be on family meetings and yeah, holidays, whatever, wherever you meet your family, really. Yeah, and just be straight up that you don't know. And if you are already working a job, I would just not tell anybody that you trade, because for most people this is uncertain. This is almost equal to gambling, and not many really would like you to start something like that, because if they're not deeply into the topic, they don't even understand trading and they feel like you're gambling, right? It's like going to the casino for them. So this is how I would handle that, and yeah, just be ready of how people will react to that. If people are younger, they generally understand it more and are more cool with that and actually support it, as it is more popular in the younger generation. So my third point is, yeah, you got to be ready to actually think for yourself, because so many new traders are just on this holding hands mentality. They join any signal group, they, copy analysis from people who provide, even if it's free. It's about this mentality and what a profitable trader actually is. If you're profitable, you are thinking for yourself. You have your own analysis, your own plan, your own strategies, own setups, and you don't rely on anybody else. So outsourcing those things is like outsourcing the main part of your job. And if you don't learn this, then I think it's just going to extend the process of actually becoming profitable for you, because it is necessary to learn that, right? Like, how can you become, I don't know, a doctor when you don't study the most important parts? And everything you're doing is just going through lectures, and you let ChatGPT do everything. And maybe your neighbor is telling you, yeah, you gotta do this, you gotta do that. How are you expecting to become a doctor and pass exams on your own? Impossible. Not gonna work. Not gonna work out. But yeah, somehow people think that they can just rely on someone else and just trade that and actually become a trader. And this is something you got to be aware and get rid of if you also think that way. In the present moment, maybe it's annoying, and I get that, because it's the easy way out, to just trust someone else and just follow their analysis. But yeah, essentially, if you want to become a trader on your own, it's what you got to do, right? Okay, my next point is, it's going to take a lot longer than you expected to take. I always use this example of mentors from today. People who started to trade 20 years ago, right? They didn't have the tools we have today. They didn't have ChatGPT. They didn't have the internet, or they had, but like in its infancy. So they had to research, test, and trade everything themselves, and yeah, make their own conclusions of their losing trades. And it's vastly different from today's traders. You almost have everything that you can ask for to learn quicker, to be quicker. But the problem is, it's still going to take much longer than you expected to. It's always the same pattern. Even if you have all the tools, and mentors of today, it took them 10 years, maybe 7, sometimes 5, I would say it's almost impossible to become profitable within a year. And for most people, it's 2, 3, 4 years to actually becoming profitable and being okay with it taking longer than expected. because this is not something you can just learn overnight. It's going to take a long time, and you got to be okay with that too. Same for losing money, right? It's the core. The core of trading is losing, and many people are actually losing. Their win rate is like 50%, maybe 40%, but then their winning trades are just giving them more money, so that's okay, but you're still losing more than you win. Imagine that. Losing more trades than you win and actually being profitable. So losing trades are an everyday thing for you then. And this is for most people. If you see win rates on YouTube like 80%, 90%, I can guarantee you almost nobody has such a crazy win rate. Most traders work with like 40, 50, maybe 60%. And that's real. So this is every day. Losing is every day. And yeah, you gotta be okay with that. And my last point is you gotta be on the edge all the time. Being a trader is very exhausting. It is not easy. It is being on the edge every day and wanting to improve every day. So you cannot rest, really. Every time you're thinking, okay, I'm going to be a little bit slower, I'm going to rest a bit, I have my strategies, it's working out for me. Then, the market changes, strategies doesn't work that way anymore. You gotta adapt, test something new, and then, be on the edge again. Back test hours over hours and see if a new strategy works. Because what are you doing if your strategy is not working anymore? You gotta find something new. And then it really shows who has become a good trader. Because if you just copy the strategy and then it's not working anymore, and you cannot get a new strategy to work, then it shows that you haven't learned the process of actually being a trader. Because someone who has learned deeply, okay, which has become innate, that you are a trader and you have learned everything very deeply, then you start to test new stuff, you back test, you do some statistics, and then eventually you are going to make a new strategy work. And then if the market changes, you gotta be ready as well, again. And you just gotta be aware of what's going on. You gotta learn the context of the market, not just the strategy. And in order to learn that, you gotta have just a lot of screen time, a lot of hours, a lot of trades, a lot of reviewing, and doing that every day. It is, very mentally draining if you want to. And if that's okay for you, and if you're ready to be beaten up in the process every day, like Rocky in round 14, then I think you're good to go to become a trader, to start this journey, to continue this journey. For me, everything was coming true. What I just said, it was very, and it still is very exhausting on some days. But yeah, that's what it's going to take and how it feels. So if you want any help with crypto related stuff, with Bitcoin, high time frame analysis, with some altcoin setups, etc., then feel free to subscribe my channel. I'm going to share everything crypto related. And with that being said, thanks for watching the video and see you guys in the next one.